So my name is Julie Lindsay. I'm president of the Emerald Mountain Homeowners Association, and I'm happy that you're here tonight. We organized this solely for the purpose of providing information to everybody in the neighborhood that had questions about central access and the internet service that would be provided. So I need to say, y'all come on in, have a seat. I need to say that this is not an endorsement of any one service over another. There are other options here, but this is different. This is provided by your electric cooperative, so we wanted you to understand exactly what's involved and what we need to do in order to become a part of central access if that's part of your plan for your household. We have Chris Montgomery here from Central Alabama Electric Cooperative. He's the Vice President for Central Access. He is going to give some information first as an overview, and then we're going to take your questions.
Thank you so much. And thank you all for coming this evening. We certainly appreciate it. And as Julie said, I'm Chris Montgomery, Vice President of Central Access. And that's Central Alabama Electric Cooperative's broadband subsidiary. And we did have a question that came up, who is Central Access and where does Central Access come from? Well, it is a subsidiary of Central Alabama Electric Cooperative. So it's wholly owned by Central Alabama Electric Cooperative. And the cooperative members that you deal with now are going to be some of the same members you're dealing with Central Access. Then the question comes to why do we need central access and why do we need broadband? Well, Central Alabama Electric Cooperative, members, we've got about 38,000 to 40,000 members that are subscribed throughout a 10-county area here in Central Alabama. What we found is a lot of people in those areas don't have quality internet service. They've got either no choice, they have an old DSL platform, or they have a mobility hotspot, but that's all they have available. In this day and age, and of course with COVID, we found that you need more than that and people need internet. So then the question came from, well, how can we provide internet service to our members? And so we did go out looking for a partner or someone that could help us build the network. Because this is an expensive network. We're trying to reach all 38,000 members of our electric cooperative. So it's time consuming, it is expensive, but we looked for a partnership that somebody would help us with it. They said, we can't do it. It doesn't make sense to do it. And we said, well, no, we think we can because our members deserve it. So that's where we said, okay, we're going to do it on our own and we're going to set out to do it. So the first plan was to feed our 24 substations and 6 offices. In doing so, we were going to ensure that we had the quality service that we needed to our network for our substations. And from there, we would serve our downline devices. So in that case, if there's a power outage, we could flip a switch, be communicated over fiber. We then in turn could reroute the power to make sure the power is working. Because again, that's been the first goal, is to keep the power on. So really that was the need for central access or for the fiber initially. So once we got the initial plan, then we looked at, okay, well, how can we do this and what financially does it make sense to do? So we started looking at, well, if we can reach 35% of our initial placement, our board said, let's look and see how much further we can go and build the network. So it became evident as we started to build that our members do need the service and we were going to hit that percentage that we could continue building. So with that, we've been building for now almost 3 years. We started in August 2019 was when we actually started hanging fiber. By the end of August, we had a couple of people connected. In 2020, we had about 2,500 people connected. And then this year alone, we've done over 4,300. So now we have over 7,000 people that are active on Central Access Network. At the moment, we've passed right at 18,000 customers that potentially could have the service. Some of those do have opportunity, so they have other providers that can provide the service. So they haven't chosen to come over yet. But again, we've passed a lot of folks that don't have any option. And then right now, fiber service that we provide is the only option that we can provide to them. And it's been beneficial. So again, with that, it is fiber service to the home. We bring a fiber all the way to the house. It's spliced in, and it is a bit of a process. It's kind of a puzzle we put together to get the fiber operated up to your home. So what that means, though, is there's no electronics in the field that potentially would break. Lightning as a whole doesn't mess with the fiber optic because it's glass. You do have electronics in the home, but other than that, it's glass to your house. And let's see, what else we need to go with that? It's dependable, it's reliable, it works well. Of course, with any other network, you do have glitches every now and then, and some of those we're learning. So this is a network, it's new to the cooperative, how to make it work and then how to run it. So all the folks there are learning that process. And so we've done a good job up until now. With that, we started out with just the cooperative group, and we're continuing to grow as Central Access grows. So by the end of 2022, we're looking at being close to 90% complete with our aerial customers. And what that means is neighborhoods outside of the Emerald Mountain area, if you notice that the power comes in aerial, you got poles up and down the streets. So the plan is to be about 90% complete by the end of 2022. In 2023, we'll grab everybody else. Now, one thing that has helped us tremendously, of course, it is an expensive project. And just as we started, the government as well realized, there's people that need dependable access to internet. So there's been several different grants. There's been Alabama Department of Economic and Community Affairs, which is a DECA. We have a DECA grants. We also have USDA grants through the FCC. So there's been two different. There's been RDOF and also the USDA RUS grants. So we've had some other grant opportunities, which just helps us build further out and capture the customers that are a little further out into the network. So again, those are helping, and we have a busy year this year. Had a great year in 2021. So we're looking forward to 2022. So with that being said, I guess let's get into questions. The service, what the service is, cost, just any questions you guys have. I don't want to get into, I definitely will compare, but I don't want to, point fingers. That's the biggest thing.
How do people sign up?
So thank you. CentralAccess.com is signing up. So with that, it gives us a way to track all the new services and all the new requests. So when you go on, it gets the information, it gets your address, we can see where you are. And it brings up a good point. So there is a $25 charge, and we don't call it a charge, it's a commitment fee. What that is, this is an expensive project. We need to know specifically where we need to build at what time. So some of the earlier areas that didn't have any service, obviously the commitment fee, the commitment take rate, was higher. So we said, okay, we're going to build in these areas first. Now the areas that are outside that now we realize do need service, we're starting to work further into those. So that's the reason we've done the commitment fee. And also with the $25 commitment fee, you do get that back. So your first bill, for instance, would be 200 megabit service, and that's up and down. We're talking about speeds. Is $59.99. So the $25 would go toward that. So actually, you get the first month free. So it's about half price, a little bit more than half price of what you would get on that. But that's why we do the commitment fee. And once again, we're giving that back to you. It's just a way to track. So the question here is, as people sign up, it appears that the numbers are not changing, I believe, or they've inflated. So I have to look specifically at that and see what that area. So what we've had to do is, again, there's an aerial section and then there's the buried sections. And we've tried to keep the aerial, we had to separate them because obviously the cost difference. It is significantly more to go buried. Now, those numbers we should be tracking and we should ensure they're correct. So that's one thing we can certainly do is confirm what the number is, the true passes, customer passes, and then confirm the take rate and what's necessary to do it. And we'd be glad to do that. So the question there is that we do have a take rate, and if we don't hit that certain take rate threshold, will we build particular areas? Aerial, yes. Buried, we do have to look at that and really determine what that cost take rate will be and the justification to come in. Now, if it's an area that has no service, Yes, eventually we certainly want to get in there, but we really do have to look at an area like Emerald Mountain because it's a large people. And as we were talking about earlier, it's over 700 people, I believe, in this area. So that's a substantial investment, and we certainly want to because, again, you guys are our members, but we just have to make sure that it does make sense to come in. And, of course, getting people that have no choice of service, is one thing, but then we truly have to get in and to really have to look at it. But with that, I know that it can activate, and yes, we can come in. And then we can, of course, if we need to, break it up into sections as well. As we were looking at some of the numbers earlier, I think on the north end, there's more sign-ups than there is on the south end. And again, I don't know why that is, but just an initial look at that appears to be there's more people that signed up on the north end than the south end. The question is, and that's with ADECA, Alabama Department of Economic and Community Affairs. I get in trouble with acronyms. So the federal and the state realized that, that there's a need again for broadband. Initially, when this broadband project really started, the FCC's view of broadband was, I think it was 20 megabits down and 3 megabits up. If you had that, it was considered you had broadband service. Well, as you guys know, that is not good broadband service, and it really doesn't work well, especially if you're trying to work from home. So since then, the state, and I apologize if I say it incorrectly here on this, I'm pretty sure that it's been changed to 100 megabits down, 20 megabits up. So if an area does not have that, that's the minimum threshold for speed. So that's where some funding will come into. So again, that kind of pushes it out more so into the rural areas because they just don't have anything. And you guys here, if you look on there's a ADECA website, and I believe you could probably also see on the FCC website, you can actually see some of the areas around here, and you can see where the speeds are rated or what they're shown as rated. And some of that is self-policed. So that's some of the things that the state agencies and the federal agencies are doing is they're trying to make sure that those speeds are accurate. And of course, their speeds we're reporting are truly accurate for what we can provide in those areas. Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, I don't think I understood that your answer to the second part of Julie's question. I thought I heard it, and then I thought you said something else. So just
okay.
For clarity, she said, "Will we still get this if not everyone signs up?" I thought you said yes, and then I thought you said no.
I said yes to aerial, and then on the buried part, we really do have to look at the neighborhood.
So that's us.
Yes, ma'am.
So
but
okay,
so when I say you, this is 700 customers, and what I said is we may have to do the top part first, then maybe the middle part, maybe the bottom part, but could we possibly come in and do all 700 at one time? We're probably going to have to break it up. But let's look at activation and see how we can do it. That's a tough answer. Tough question.
But I don't think it's been answered. So will it be here eventually is what we're saying.
And that's what we're working. Yeah. You are buried, that's correct. And what we're having to do is we're having to come in and bore every street, every yard, every driveway.
I think what we just need to know is eventually we're going to get there.
That's our goal. Here's the thing. If we have a commitment, which is again trying to make sure everyone signs up, if at the time, at whatever this time is, you're like, hey guys, I'm out, we will gladly refund the $25. And there's no problem with that. Because again, you're still getting the quality service. That is our goal, to feed all of our members. So to answer the question, will it happen? Yes, ma'am. I do believe it really will. When that actual time is, that's what I don't know. We do have to get it activated to get all 700 people in here served. And again, we can break it up in sections, but to make sure that last person is served, when will that happen?
Do you guys have an end date in sight for your current?
Well, to be 90% complete by the end of 22 with all aerial. On the buried, as they activate, we're putting them in list of one by one and knocking them out. So we do have a lot of our population is buried in an underground neighborhood, and we're working through those now. Currently with that, those are separate contractors we're utilizing, which brings up another point. There's only so many contractors. Currently throughout the United States, besides us, there's other co-ops that are placing fiber. So there's only so many contractors, there's only so much fiber available. So what we're running into is delays in getting the material. So that's some of the stuff we're working through, is how to get the material and keep it in a timely fashion. So some of the stuff we're looking at for 2022, as it's the new year, is what are we doing and how are we moving. So our goal is to hit half of the buried neighborhoods we've identified. So that's probably going to be about 30 buried neighborhoods for 2022, and that's going to touch certainly a good portion of folks there. But again, on the aerial side, that's the quickest and the easiest, and that gets the fiber furthest out. So to answer the question of when we can get in here, I cannot be specific. So it's just, I don't know. The question is, when will it activate? So the question is, what can we do to get the word out that we're building the network? So what has been working the best for us is word of mouth, like you guys are doing here. So I do have yard signs, I've got door hangers, I have some central access pens, papers, and huggers. So it's just word of mouth to get it out that this is what we're doing.
Well, like Brett was saying, if you've got a street that you've got 30% people who have already paid $25 2 years ago and they're still waiting, if you were to start boring down that street, I guarantee you the other 70% would go, hey, it's coming, it's here, we want in.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
I mean,
and that's true. And again,
if we see it happening, we're all in.
That's the way it's been. So again, if you see the construction, we're going to sign up. That's what we're seeing throughout the entire network. But again, it's 40,000, 38,000 to 40,000 customers. One by one, we're knocking them out, and it's a process. So the question is, what do we provide to get service to your home? So in the field, you're going to see a pedestal as you would another provider, or on the power side, you see the transformer. Then to the house, you're going to have the fiber service wire going into the home, and then in there, you're going to have a network terminal, which transmits the signal from fiber to electric, going to your router, and then it's your equipment after that. So yes, sir, we provide that. Good question. So the question is, how does our service differ? And let's put it this way, how does our service differ from traditional coax? So as we were talking about earlier, the neighborhood, this neighborhood is established over 30 years ago. So there's some facilities in the ground that are over 30 years old. Coax is, it's copper and it's aluminum. And so over time it degrades, the service is going to degrade. With that, it has speed limitations. It has limitations as far as where how close your electronics are that feeds an area. So the difference in the two, our speeds, we have 200 megabit up and down, so it transmits 200 megabits down, transmits 200 megabits up. 200, 500 up to a gig service is what we can provide to the houses, residential and business. So those are the speeds that are coming in, and those are the speeds that are going out. Typically with coax, you're going to see from 100 up to potentially a gig service down. And then as far as the speeds up, you're going to see anywhere from 20 to 100 depending on the service, depending on where their equipment is. So you're going to see that. Now, how does our service differ from theirs? Again, it's glass versus the copper and the degraded lines that are in the field. Every time you have a splice point or a little, the coax line that you screw, everyone's always screwing together, in splice points. And you have splice points all through your house. Every time you put a splice point on a coax line, or even a fiber line, but every time you put a splice point on, it degrades that signal. And over time, that's what happens. It's just an age thing. No. So the service is much better and faster. But now one more thing. So we provide internet service, broadband service. What that means is we provide access to the World Wide Web. So we don't provide traditional cable TV like the other vendors do. But with that, we do over-the-top services, or we recommend that. So YouTube TV is a platform. Most everybody has Netflix. but YouTube, Hulu, all those. So that's something you would choose on your own to be able to look at the television programs you watch. We have started with, so the question is, the neighborhoods that we're burying fiber in already, how large are the neighborhoods? So there have been some of the ones on the out, so you got to remember, as we started placing our fiber to our networks, it was a core ring, and then we went out to several different other core areas. So as we were coming across those initial neighborhoods that were close to the cores, those are the ones we were grabbing. There were some that didn't have any service that we knew the service was needed. Again, they activated quickly because that service was needed in those neighborhoods, and so we were able to get that. Now, there have been some new neighborhoods where they're brand new, the greenfield, so there's nothing in there. So with them, we have to bury our power in those neighborhoods. So in doing so, we put a conduit in the ground and make ready for burying the fiber as well. So there are some newer neighborhoods that have gotten fiber sooner, but again, you know, we had to open the trench to put the cable in the ground, so we have to follow suit and put the fiber in the ground or make ready as well. So there have been some.
What is the size?
Anywhere from 5 houses up to, there's some other neighborhoods that will be over 200, but they're partially being done, so you know, they've been 60 so far. But I mean, we haven't done anything to the scale of Emerald Mountain yet. Again, just trying to, it's a large neighborhood that was built over many years, and now we're trying to put fiber in it, you know, within a year. So again, that's our goal, is to get all the services to all the members and working through each one by one. Yes, sir.
If we do a neighborhood push and communicate and get more people to, quote, sign up, is that going to push the priority faster for us?
Yes, ma'am, it would. Now, I can't give you an answer when, but yes, ma'am, it would. It would prioritize it and it would push it. I would have to get back with engineers. And again, you guys as your cooperative members, and you know, it's important we're feeding you guys, and you know, I apologize that we can't move fast enough in some areas, but you know, there are a lot of folks that we are getting service to that have nothing, and we're trying to get to everybody. So to answer your question,
I've got 4 or 5 people on our street, Dogwood Terrace, who are willing to walk around this entire place and put on door tags and all that kind of stuff.
And that was I said, hey guys, these guys are serious. I said, if I come up and talk to these folks, they're serious now. So I said, it's coming. So everybody's aware of it. So yes, we'll have to get on the list. The question is, what is that percentage to get service activated in this neighborhood? Yes, we can do that. And that was actually the question I had. I brought some maps of the neighborhood. To me, if I look at Emerald Mountain, I think Emerald Mountain is this entire area. But initially, Emerald Mountain was the east side, depending on the neighborhood. So that was my question when I started looking at it this morning. It was, okay, what's considered Emerald Mountain? Again, I'm looking at this entire area. So I think to answer your question is, what's the entire area? Which it is broken up in multiple different neighborhoods. Not everything was Emerald Mountain. So I really have to look at it like that and then determine, you know, are we going, and then how do we break it up? So again, it is a question that can be answered, but it's going to be in parts.
How much has the supply chain affected getting everything out?
We do have fiber limitation this year. So the question is supply chain. So how much is the supply chain affecting Central Alabama Electric Cooperative as well as other cooperatives? We do have a set amount of fiber that we know that we're going to get this year. And so we know when you look at fiber availability and contractors, when you get your contractor in, you don't want them to leave. So you want to make sure you have enough fiber for your contractor to stay busy the entire time. Because as soon as they get slack, they're going to hit the road. Because some of the folks we have are from out of state. So we do have enough fiber in this year to take care of them. Again, we're pushing around 1,000 miles of fiber that we know we'll put in the ground and the air this year. Is some initial calculations. We're still trying to true that up for this year. So, okay, so the question is, when we come into the neighborhood, will it be bored or will it be trenched? Of course, all the roadways will have to be bored. The yards as a whole will be bored. What they do, though, they'll set up the bore machine, they'll bore to a point, and they'll actually dig a pit. They'll take the dirt out of the pit and lay it on a tarpaulin next to it. They then will leave the side, the grass level up. Then they'll, after they get through doing whatever it is they're doing in the pit, they put all the dirt back, they tamp it down, they put that side back on top. So other than the ground being, you can see the dirt now, other than that, it's in pretty good shape. We try to leave, because these are, again, our contractors who are working on our behalf. Again, you guys know our numbers. We will get called when we do make some mistakes, and it happens. We're going to kill a plant, but we'll replace that plant. So the question is, we'll have to be off the road. So when we place in the fiber, we either will be placing the fiber within the county or the city right-of-way, or within the utility easement. So you'll have the roadway, then the right-of-way outside of that, and then typically the utility easement. I think all the utility easements within Emerald Mountain are front easements.
Yes.
Okay, which is good. Rear lot easements are terrible. So I think as a whole, everything's going to either be in the right-of-way or in the easement. So the question is pricing. I will get into pricing. And so the question, and I believe your question was, for $59.99, what do you get, and what will that feed? So, our services are for 200 megabit residential, 200 megabits, $59.99, $79.99 for 500 megabit, and $99.99 for 1 gig service. So what we do when we come in, the question is, what service do I need? There's one person here, or there's 10 people in my house. Each kid has a smartphone, has an iPad. My dishwasher now has Wi-Fi, and so is my washing machine. So what kind of service do I need? And my refrigerator also has a television on it. So, it really comes down to what you do in your house and what's needed. So 200 megabit typically is fine. But, so 200 megabit, there's a router that'll be placed somewhere in your home. If it's center located, it should spread throughout your home. Now, when we come in and do our installation, as long as you're good with it, our installers will come through and they can walk through the home and verify the signal in each house and in each location. Now, do we have any basements here? I know there's some hills, but are there any basements?
I think there's a couple they're not real basements though. They're like on the side of the hill, and then they're just a downstairs area.
Yeah, we haven't figured out how to do basements in this area. The ground's hard, we just don't do them. So basements are upstairs, same thing. We'll go up and confirm that. We can place an extender in the house, so that's just your signal extender. And we can hardwire it, so we would run an additional Cat5 cable up to that in the wall and connect it, or it can go wirelessly, and that just extends the signal throughout your home. So the question is, so I have my home, my current provider has provided a router. The router is located, let's say, on the north end of my house, but I've got this awesome patio on the south end of my house where I want to watch the Auburn basketball game at 8 o'clock. And the question is, I can't see it. So how does that work? I'm not an Auburn fan, sorry. But I know the game's coming. So with that, there's a mesh network. So there is different companies that provide different routers that will plug in. So what that does, you have your gateway, or your residential gateway, or your router that your company provides. Typically you plug a Cat5 cable into that and into one of the mesh networks, whichever the companies you would go with. You can purchase these online, Amazon, or different companies. But so you plug that in, and then you can go throughout your home, and let's say you have a two-story house. You then can plug away from that first initial, we'll say, base station. You plug your second one in, and then you go upstairs and plug your third in. And what that does is those will communicate within your home and then spread it out. Yes, ma'am. The question is, how firm, again, is the number of sign-ups? And let's verify. Normally we find they're very firm. They're very close, but again, there's obviously room for error. We'll put it this way. The electric cooperative started 80 years ago. It's taken us 80 years to build up to this point. We're trying to build a fiber network to feed everybody in our area that took 80 years to feed with power, and we're trying to do it all in 5 years. So that kind of puts it in perspective. And the faster you go, the more money it takes. And we're trying to keep the rates low and consistent. So the question about the rates is we don't have, other than the commitment fee, we're asking as a commitment, again, you get the first month free. We don't have surprise rates. We don't have any plans to go up or down in rates. At some point, we hope this can benefit the power side. But again, that's something we're looking into. But you know, our rates are what our rates are. They've been approved by our board, and we anticipate our rates staying the same. So again, we don't anticipate any surprises or anything. And again, you're dealing with the customer service you've been dealing with, you know, your entire time. So it is a large neighborhood. We'll be probably coming in from multiple different directions with the fiber. We naturally would come in and start placing a mainline fiber. Then off that, you would have your taps that would come off. And so there would be some areas that would technically activate sooner. We won't come in and place fiber to every house and then say, okay, 1, 2, 3, everybody sign up. We're going to start the process. So we're going to go through, and let's say if we start from the north, we'll start splicing in the north and working our way south to at that point we can get everybody. So to the point of activation, I'm sure we're looking at the entire area. I have to find out exactly how we're looking at that. I know we're working our way down Jackson Road, I think, which is coming down Redland Road, and we've come down that aerial. So we're just north of here now, and we haven't gone into the buried neighborhoods are the ones that are the most challenging because, again, it moves so much slower, and it is a more expensive endeavor. All right, so the question is, if we come into the house, at what point can we guarantee the service? So we do come into the home, and we have our router is Zyxel is the brand, and then we have our extenders are the same brand as Zyxel. So we do we ensure service comes to that, and we ensure the service is good. And then if you have the extender beyond that, yes, we'll make it to that. What gets tricky though is if you have your mesh network behind that. We can look at it and see that the mesh is connected, but I can't guarantee your mesh is working the way it should. You know, so I think that's answering the question. We're going to, and you're dealing with the cooperative. We're going to do our best to say, hey, we're going to work with you to get your service right. Ultimately, that's the goal, is hopefully to make everybody happy, hopefully get the service good and make sure it works. But then, if it's not, if you buy Ubiquity is a fantastic company. We do use a lot of Ubiquity products. And as we grow, we're adding some of those to it. But if you pick something up from Walmart, for instance, it may not work as well, or it may be an old generation, or it may be some old equipment that you've had in the past. So those are tough to manage. We try to. There's a couple of them that we've had difficulties with. But, we're the co-op, so we're doing our best to make it work.
When he says he's the co-op, I just want you to remind you, the way I've always looked at the co-op is we own it.
You guys are
You're
members.
member-owned co-op. So we own it, and that's why there's a motivation there with the co-op to make everyone happy within the ability they have to do so, correct?
It's hard to make everybody happy, but
Well,
we try.
No, we are member-owned, correct?
Yes.
You get an opportunity every year to vote on and things like that. So, Chris, I'm going to allow you to have a minute or so to kind of sum things up if there's anything you feel is left unsaid. And then for any of you who have something, I'm sure Chris wants to go home, but I'm sure he'd be willing to hand you one of those nice little gifts that he brought over there and let you help get people signed up if that's something that you want to pursue. So. Yeah,
Julie, again, I appreciate the opportunity to speak to y'all. Thank y'all for coming out this evening. The biggest takeaway is, again, we understand the service is needed. We're trying to do our part to get it built as quickly as possible. We do have a lot of people that are happy. We don't have some people that are quite happy yet, but we hope to make everybody smile eventually. So hopefully you guys, again, I'll give you my card. We'll start diving into that. Where are the questions, what area you're in, and we start looking at that. So that's all I can do is I promise we're going to look into it and figure out where it is and then what the actual take rate will be in the neighborhood. And then the questions are going to be is how quick we're going to build it. So we're going to have that's going to be, I'm sure, a mass communication. And in doing so, I would imagine we'll have to come together, probably again to the group and say, all right, guys, look, here's the plan. Here's what's involved. And so you guys understand the entire piece of it. Because again, Spectrum and AT&T has come out and built it in sections over the years. Now we're coming in to knock it all out at one time. So the goal is to make you guys happy.
And Chris has my email address. The folks at the cooperative have my email address. So if there's any information that we need to get out to our residents, I do an email once every quarter. So that'll be coming out sometime next month. So
Good deal.
You can get back in touch with me. I'll make sure everybody has additional information if it's provided to answer some of these questions that came up tonight. Is that fair? All right. Well, thank you, Chris. We appreciate
Julie,
it.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.